Hello guys, and welcome to a new Warno video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you game 2 of 2 games in the Warno League versus a wooden box. We are going to be playing on Vertigo Duel, and in this one I'm going to be playing with the 3rd US Armoured Division, and wooden box he's going to be playing with the 5th German Panzer Division. And yeah, this is game 2, the first game, just a spoiler alert. Unfortunately, I lost, but it was incredibly close. I felt like there was moments of hope in that game that really set me up for this one. I was excited for this game. I was like, you know what? This time around, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take one in Division 1 of the Warno League. It's got to be done, right? So here we are. I'm setting up. Actually, it took me a little while to set up in this one because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to place down aero rifles at the start. The forward deployment of the 3rd US sucks, and their recon is just bad or slow. So in this case, like, the ACAV's great, but it's just a slow vehicle, so it doesn't really matter that it's forward deployed. So the idea behind the aero rifles is that I'm going to be able to deploy quite far up at the start of the game. So what I opt to do is use a Kiowa plus an Apache plus an OH-58 on the left hand side with a couple of aero rifles to try and secure Alpha early on. I've also got the Wild Weasel coming out. That's going to be trying to hit some of the German AA, because pretty much all of the German AA except from their manpads is radar, so the Gepards and their Rolands. So the seed here at the start is just trying to be cheeky, catch out some of his AA early on so that I don't lose any of my helicopters in these initial engagements. You can see I've also brought up a CV. That's just going to be capping my back sector, going for Delta. Since I do have aero rifles going to Delta, I've also got aero rifles going to Charlie. Ideally, this should have been going up the left-hand side here to Bravo Alpha, probably, after going through Echo, because that's obviously where I've got the majority of my forces. You can see I'm also bringing up a TOW 2. I've got a mech rifle that's also going to be backing me up as soon as those units drop down. So let's see how it goes. Aero rifles pulling into position, getting ready to land. F4F coming in to counter me. Apache going to be catching out the Unimog here, looking to try and kill that before he unloads so he can kill the infantry nice and easy. F4F coming over, got to take care of that ASAP, so Eagle purchase to shoot that down. So Apache stopped the unit on the left hand side, that's great. Now he's going to be got a couple of Iltis here coming in, hasn't unloaded them quick enough. They're going to have a couple of Fliegerfaust in it, which is not good news for the Apache, but the Apache gets his rockets down and the Fliegerfaust die as well. Iltis was coming in to get the cap on the left hand side. He's going to be pulling that away. Kiowa also coming in, does have its own rockets. This Apache meanwhile going to be able to take out the Fuchs Milan and probably kill the infantry that had unloaded, because I'm right over the top of it. So likely that happened. Kiowa unfortunately wasting its rockets on the Iltis there as it runs away. But since he brought in an F4F before, I'm not going to be too hasty with the Apache on the right hand side, especially seeing these Iltis. Definitely means he's brought in a couple of Fliegerfaust on that side. So yeah, my Apache trying to not greed, come back, get some, get fixed up by the supply that I'm bringing in, the Hemmet back there. On the right hand side, meanwhile, aero rifles engaging with Fernspeer. Here, aero rifles got into position. Bradley's also come in with a fire team. So that's really nice. This ACAV should have been moved to the left really, so that I could have helped shoot those. But overall, I'm pretty happy. My M151 MUTZ-P actually managed to get in here and cap this. And obviously we saw that I forced off his Iltis after it captured this sector. So now I'm able to get in on this left-hand side and capture both of these as well, which is really good. Anyway, due to allowing the Aufklärer to get into this building, both the Bradley and the M113 ACAV get hit by the Panzerfaust, which kind of really takes away their effectiveness at being support units for this engagement. Kind of a big mistake on my part, because now he's got the fire support advantage of the Marders, and I'm going to have to fall back from these engagements with the Aufklärer and the Fernspeer. But I've definitely got him on the back foot right now, especially on this left-hand side. This is a really, really nice position that I've got myself into here. I've just got to make sure that I don't lose too much ground on the right-hand side. So, yeah, just trying to get into position. Unfortunately, this routed Bradley is not really routing. And, yeah, Milan's going to smack that in the face. But at least I'm sort of somewhat winning the engagement against the Jäger Aufklärer and the Fenchbier here. I'm also getting into a decent position on the left-hand side, trying to get an air rifle up into a further building. Wild Weasel, meanwhile, did try and kill the Alouette, I believe, with its infrared missiles. I'm just keeping that about to make sure that if he brings in any radar AA, I can potentially snipe it. Anyway, fire team here, jumping forwards in order to try and clean out the Jäger Aufklärer. There is a Gepard there, as you can see, but honestly, Wooden Box probably turned off the radar as soon as they came in. Anyway, Apache here trying to get the better of the units on the right-hand side. Of course, the Fliegerfaust going to kind of force me off for the time being. And another couple Fliegerfaust on the right-hand side. Pretty sketchy, to be honest. Lucky that those two shots missed as the Apache gets out. It does have armor. It does have 20% ECM. But, yeah, Fliegerfaust not really performing for Wooden Box there. Either way, we're sitting on a +3 at the start of the game. The main concern for me right now is, can I get into Delta with my engineers using the help of my invested Apaches, basically. The Apaches are really, really strong, but if he's got too many Fliegerfaust, I'm not going to be able to use them very effectively. So yeah, just got to be careful with that. OH-58 in the meantime does get some use on the left-hand side, takes out the Alouette. So the reason I brought it in early on was just to try and clip the wings of some of his recon helicopters, and that right there is pretty much the reason that this OH-58 was part of my original setup. Obviously it didn't find a Alouette at the start of the game, but it's just really useful for flying around and picking those off without having to actually invest into Stingers. Unfortunately, the looks here, going to be able to get fire support onto the to help the Jaeger win that engagement. I'm bringing the Apache over because there's still not much AA here. We've seen a Gepard on the right hand side, but we haven't really seen much on the left hand side. So I'm thinking that my Apache can get a lot more value over here, and the Grens, or the Panzergrens, they are going to take some rockets to the face, and the last rocket there finishes off the second Marder. There did end up being some Fliegerfaust in there, so Apache got to do a runner. Unfortunately, after taking that Fliegerfaust shot, F4F does manage to get the kill. Wooden Box there, going to greed for the second one, and now the Eagle finds the kill. So this Eagle of Zimmermann certainly doing its work throughout the game. Now left side is still looking a little bit precarious. Right side, trying to get the Engineer Dragons up. Use the M1A1HA that I've just brought up with the M3A1 Bradley to push back into this position. The Engineers with the Dragon, they can take care of the Milans for me, or the Marders, sorry. That's at least the intent. And then I can obviously follow up with the M1A1HA and the M3A1 Bradley with the Apache at the back, so that I can, you know, demolish whatever's left. Kiowa also coming over to provide the exceptional optics. So I'm pretty happy to just attack move these forwards. Panzergren's going to reveal themselves to the M13. Fortunately, Apache is still in a bit of a rough spot here. You can see I'm going to move over the M3A1 to try and deal with the Fliegerfaust. But the Apache, yeah. The difficulty here is after one Fliegerfaust hit, I basically get super paranoid about an F4F coming in and shooting it down. And that's pretty much probably what Wooden Box is thinking as well. As soon as a Fliegerfaust hits an Apache, he can just suicide an F4F and he gets value. So I'm also wary of that, and that's why I'm like really sketchy about actually being aggressive with the Apache. Same deal here, you know, another Apache gets hit by a Fliegerfaust. He's only really got to hit one, and then the effectiveness of my Apaches is questionable. So now he's going to be investing in 2 F4Fs because there's 2 Apaches low, and he's hoping to take them both out. I have Zimmerman ready to go. He's unfortunately going to miss 2 of his. I land both of these Apaches so the F4Fs don't get the shots on target, and managed to shoot one down. Unfortunately the Kiowa does not get landed, ends up taking an infrared missile to the face. Meanwhile on the right hand side, Marder 1A3 Milan does get taken out, but the Panzergrens managed to get a Panzerfaust on the M1A1HA. Actually managed to get 2. And that's really bad because infantry AT causes massive cohesion loss. And because of the cohesion loss, my M1A1 goes slow, gets side shot, and now I'm in a really, really bad spot with that M1A1HA as my engineers go down at the same time. So yeah, things not great. At least the M1A1's able to save itself against the Marder 1A3. This Leopard 2A3, it's creeping forwards. It's looking for the shot onto the M1A1. Second M1A1 going to be stopping it from being too effective for the time being. But I did lose the M3A1 in the process. I'm also going to be losing the M151 MUT CP that I brought in on the left side of the sector that I thought would be relatively safe against the enemy infantry here, because I had a couple of recon units in there earlier, but they just got broken down, and then my leader died as well. And you can see that the Kiowa just got deleted by the Gepard on the right hand side. So managed to keep my M1A1HA alive, but my push is completely evaporated on this side, which is obviously not ideal. So what started as a game that looked really, really good has now become a little bit of a puzzle, because whilst I continue to have a decent position on this left hand side, Giga Chad A10, it's just very difficult for me to get back in here. This A10, really nice strafe, followed up by Lux A1 kill, shoots down the F4F, what a win. Weasel comes in, gets the seed shot onto one of the Gepards, unfortunately misses the Roland. That was really, really sad. That would have been a really nice double kill for the Weasel there, but at least it got out alive. Anyway, this M1A1 going to be moving back to the supply where my Apaches were fixing up. Engineers, a little bit premature. Should have waited for the M1A1 to be ready to help out here, because this is just them taking free damage right now. Yeah, just kind of got a little bit out of sync. Apache is coming back up. As long as I can kind of keep them at range, then they're going to be able to get their rockets on target. I've just got to be really careful of this unit on the right hand side. I definitely should have made more of an effort to go up this right side here and maybe try and get into Charlie rather than go across the open throughout the game. Anyway, Wild Weasel's going to be coming in again. I brought in a second one. You can see as I fly over, he turns on the radar. Like, radar units get revealed by seed if they're turned on, so that they can fire at them. And you'll notice there that as I turn the back to the radar, he turns them on, and that's exactly what he needs to do. But the idea of having this Wide Weasel, of course, is so that the A10 can hang about and provide support for this push. So the M1A1HA now moving up with the Bradley at its back. Two engineers with the Dragon Squad's going to be moving into cover here as well. Apache does take a shot here, which is not ideal because we can see the 2 F4Fs coming in. This Thunderbolt's going to be going for the dive onto the Marder 1A3s, and you'll see that the F4Fs, they missed both of their infrareds because they had to dive for the Thunderbolt, which then allows good old Goldwire here to come across and shoot down both of them. Very, very nice double kill for that F-15. My Wild Weasel manages to get out alive as well after dumping its infrared missiles. And yeah, this game was really, really cool. It was all about the airplay. I was doing really, really well with my aircraft and my helicopters throughout this. Unfortunately, again, the Fliegerfaust causing me problems on the right-hand side. I was trying to get my M1A1 to kill the Leopard here, but unfortunately didn't manage to connect. Also, these dragons kind of not really doing the job. Anyway, more engineers coming up to help out. And I'm sending my M113s over to the right-hand side here. Figures, these Fliegerfaust might be on their own, so maybe I can just send my M113s with 50 cows to go kill them for me. That was the thought. Anyway, engineers. Again, moving them forwards before my M1A1's ready. And it just means like every time they're taking damage, when my M1A1 HA should otherwise be, you know, trading shots like this. So in this engagement, I've got 20 front armor and 22 penetration. I'm going to kill him on that third shot if he doesn't smoke. So he's kind of forced to smoke there. I would be fine on a third shot. The problem, obviously, is that he's got more than I do in this position. And this Leopard 2A3 here, whilst it does take a hit from the Dragon, I can't finish it off with the 1A1. So now I'm in a position where he's got Leopard 1A, 1A1s coming down on me. He's got a Leopard 1A5 on this right hand side that's also going to be a problem. My engineers have been whittled down by the fire support, especially considering these two were in the open for no reason. And yeah, that's really, really bad news. So I'm trying to get this M1A1 into position to cover the M1A1 HA on the left hand side. I've got an Apache rushing over to try and help things out, but things looking pretty bad on this right hand side. He knows that he can charge down my dragons because they have a minimum range on their HGEMs, and I mean this one had used up all of its dragon shots anyway. This M1A1 HA though does manage to at least get a shot onto the 1A5, but then the 1A1 does get its shot off. I do manage to trade back with the Apache, so I'm not completely displeased, but yeah, not ideal that I lost the 1A1 there, and all my engineers dying is obviously really, really bad. F4F coming in again for another kill onto the Apache, or at least trying to get the kill onto the Apache, going to force me to bring out the Eagle. I obviously already had the Eagles on standby, so it wasn't a big deal, and I managed to shoot it down. But it was at this point, you know, when he's bringing in a 5th F4F, it tells me he's got 2 cards of these F4Fs, which means he can have a potential of total 8 that I've got to worry about for the rest of the game. Like, after I shot down 4, I was like, ah, okay, he's not going to have any more F4Fs. But as soon as I see a 5th F4F come out in this game, I'm like, oh god. Now I've still got to worry about more F4Fs coming in and killing my Apaches. Because I'd been doing a pretty good job throughout the game of keeping them alive. And the Apaches and the A10s were the main reason that he can't push across the open on this left-hand side. Because every time he potentially tries to make a push here, I can bring in an A10, I can demolish all those tanks, I can use an Apache with Hellfires at max range. Whereas on this right-hand side, I'm trying to push into him, so he's got all the cover, and that's why my attacks on this right-hand side with my aircraft, with my helicopters, are not working as well. And that's why moving around on this right-hand side here, going up this road, would have been the play, because then I can clean out these tree lines, we can put pressure into the sector, I could keep counting the team score. He wouldn't be able to push out of here because I still have the helicopters and the air advantage in the game. So yeah, the play would have been to go to the right hand side. Alas, I did not. And Thunderbolt here trying to fire position the Fliegerfaust. Unfortunately didn't kill it. You can see I spotted them briefly thanks to the mech rifles, but yeah. Milan's now coming across looking for the HGEM into the back of the CUV. Thunderbolt misses the Marder but does hit a 1A1 out in the open, and this is exactly it. This is the presence that a Thunderbolt can have, and it might not look that I have a lot on the ground, but a lot of my money and my points in this game are invested in my Air Force. You know, 2 Eagles to counter the F4Fs, the Thunderbolts to just always have one on standby so that it's ready to, you know, deal with any of the pushes. I've got the Apaches, which are obviously quite expensive as well. And I've got M1A1 HAs as well, which I've been investing in. These are 320 points apiece. So everything that I'm using in this game is extremely expensive, and at the start of the game it was working out really well. Unfortunately, letting him get full control over Delta and Charlie has hampered me throughout the game and not allowed me to develop the lead that I had at the start of the game. So it was a good strategy, and I definitely put Wooden Box on the back foot here on the left hand side, but now I'm still trying to work my way back in on the right hand side. Thunderbolt coming around here, unfortunately going to miss the Maverick missile there. It's missed 2 now, and it's going to miss the 3rd, which was really, really sad. Also, I'm going to be completely mistiming the evac here. If I'd seen that coming in just a split second later, I would have told my A10 to head on the F4F, and honestly the A10 probably would have won like it did earlier. Anyway, Eagle's going to be able to kill off another F4F. Unfortunately, I lost my Thunderbolt though. That Eagle's going to fly all the way off to the side of the map, and then I'm going to evac it. No need for that to fly over all of the enemy AA. Anyway, as you can see, I am starting to, develop a lot of units here. We've got 2 snipers in position to provide me with recon across the open. We've got 3 M1A1HAs and an M1A1. And I've also got the 2 Bradleys with Fireteam Dragons. At this point, I was trying to bring in M1A1s because I wanted to match the availability somewhat of his tanks. And considering he's using like 1A1s and 1A5s, I need a bit of a cheaper tank that's going to be able to deal with those. If I just keep investing in M1A1HAs, then what's going to end up happening is he can get side shots because he has the numbers advantage. Now on this left hand side, a couple of Leopard 1A5s going to be heading towards me. Weasel really not doing well for me. In this game, I invested in quite a lot of Weasels. The idea this time around was that I was going to bring in one, fly it over his AA, him turn it on, and then the second one get the kill. But I don't think I timed it right, or maybe he saw it coming. I wasn't entirely sure. Regardless, the second one going to get absolutely deleted, as the amount of AA that Wooden Box had invested in finally shows its fruit. CEV on the left hand side here, in a bit of a bad position. M35 trying to move up to help out. Apache's also moved up on the left hand side to try and kill those leopards, but gets hit by 2 Fliegerfaust back to back, so that gets shot down, and that's actually really, really bad for me, losing my Apache. Anyway, on this right hand side, starting to make a push, leading the charge with my M1A1HAs. They are really, really tanky. But I allowed this one on the right hand side to get singled out by 2 Leopard 2A3s, so that was a little bit of a mistake on my part. But honestly, Wooden, that's all he needs to do. He just needs to be really annoying on this right hand side, just keep chipping me and then falling back and not allowing me to get kills in return. Anyway, A10's currently floating around, waiting to see if I can pick anything up. Because the mechanized rifles here, they're currently having to go at a couple Jaegers, so I'm going to come in for the strafing run onto both of those. Meanwhile, this M1A1 I thought I could send over to the left hand side in order to help out over here, since I saw the tanks earlier, and these Jaegers obviously are going to be causing problems. Anyway, Fliegerfaust further back do manage to get a hit. Gepard's opening up onto this Thunderbolt, do a lot of damage. Fliegerfaust on the left also managed to get a hit. Thankfully the A10 is really, really tanky and manages to get away. But this M1A1 is in a really, really bad spot. HGM coming in from the side from the Marder 1A3. Gets the side shot as the Leopard shoots it in the front armor. Also kills off my CEV on the right hand side. Mech rifles are now going to lose to the Jaegers because the A10 didn't manage to do the job. Wild Weasel fails to kill the AA. Things really not looking too great. Engineers out in the open on the left get killed off. M2A2 Bradley's failing to get into the edge of this sector, and he's got flanking units coming in on the right hand side now. Yeah. You can see that how just quickly things really, really ramp up in a 1v1, and now my TOW 2's gone down. That's not ideal. I'm going to take out the Marder 1A3, looking to take out another one here, the M1A1HA at close range, able to deal with them quite nicely. But, one of my M1A1HAs is damaged. My M1A1 died, and the M1A1HA on the right hand side got picked off, so not ideal. Fernspeer are going to get found. Just going to make sure I can try and kill them off. Meanwhile, the M2A2 Bradley is going to try and contest that for a little bit to give me some extra points. On the left side, M2A2 Bradleys, they're actually going to stop short. Because there's 2 Leopard 1A5s in here plus the Jaegers, no real point in me trying to unload in that tree line. So I'm actually just going to unload at range with the Dragons and the Bradleys, which have the TOW 2s, so that I can engage there. Anyway, these fire teams getting into position, managed to pick off a Unimog there, that's great. These two Bradleys though, going to get attacked by the Leopard 1A1 we saw creep into the right hand side earlier. So trying to get as many shots on target here as possible. All of the Age of Gems just end up missing. Bradley trying to help out with some of the Jaegers and the Fliegerfaust. M2A2 Bradley still managing to at least hold its position here. Aero rifles on the left. At least slow down Fliegerfaust's Wooden Box's advance into this left side sector. If I can continue to contest here and then see the left side, I'm actually not too displeased with that. The issue we're having right now is like this M1A1's up against a lot of tanks. I'm managing to use line of sight here to pick off one at a time. And nice hit there from the Toad 2 onto the Leopard 2A3. This Bradley also managing to get a hit through. Gonna route it. Next shot coming through. Unfortunately, Leopard manages to get the shot. Fliegerfaust once again hitting my Apaches. Not ideal. Anyway, more Bradleys on the way. Figures at this point I can try and use the Bradleys to get the better of his forces. And Leopard 1A1's gone down. 2A3's gone down at the backside. I'm bringing in 4 more Bradleys here. If I can unload these and, get them all to fire at the Leopards at the same time, that'd be great. But Wooden Box, throughout this game, one thing that he did really, really well was make sure that he had supply for his Leopards. So every time they were using their smoke, they were being resupplied with more smoke. And that meant that my Age of Gems were not doing too great. Let's just put it that way. Now this M1A1HA, going to save the bacon of this M1A1HA further up. I knew that he would try and push this pretty hard, but with this M1A1 on the flank, it's going to be difficult for him to try and flank my M1A1. So I'm kind of covering that nicely, but this is going to be a nasty strike from the Tornado IDS MW1 as he kills off all of the Fireteam Dragons that unloaded from the M2A1s. My Eagle just a little bit too late there, doesn't even manage to hit a missile on target. So that's unfortunate. So now we are in a bit of a weird position because as soon as I lose Alpha Cap, Wooden Box is going to be at an advantage. I'm not contesting Delta, I'm not contesting Charlie. So there goes the cap, and the +2 is going to go in favour of Wooden Box, which is going to allow him to catch up. So I'm on a little bit of a time limit right now. My Bradley is not going to hit its Toad 2, so that goes down. Apache once again gets hit by more Fliegerfaust, but at least I've got the Hemmet here, so the Apache is going to be able to fix that up. Regardless, things are not ideal. I can't just get into this area. It was really, really vexing me throughout the game. Obviously, like in hindsight, just go to the right here. Like not now, it would be kind of futile to do that now, but at the point where the Fliegerfaust were in here and causing my helicopters issues, I should have just sent a couple of Bradleys around here and just pushed him out of this area. Like that's pretty much all I would have had to do at this point. Hey, Bradley's trying to hold the line. Unfortunately, 1A1s, 2A3, kill both of them really, really quickly. Weasel's back in again. See if we can pick off any radar AA that he hasn't remembered to turn off. But honestly, Wooden Box completely on top of his micro in this one. I think in the first game it was probably too close for comfort for him, and in the second game we got off to a really, really good start, but things getting pretty futile for me now as he's managed to trade extremely well against a lot of my units as the game has moved on. And like my initial strategy and the way that I used the helicopters and the aircraft, I think went really, really well early on. But yeah, I just relinquished way too much ground on the right hand side, and that didn't give me any footing to really continue the engagements there throughout the rest of the game. maybe just a potential overinvestment into my aircraft. Like having to buy like these Eagles to protect my helicopters really slowed me down a lot in this game, because one of these Eagles, you know, it's 275 points. That's like 2 Bradleys with infantry, right, on the ground. So that's why the unit disparity on the ground looks so different throughout the game. Yeah, bringing in an M2A2 on the left-hand side here figures I would have to fight for the cap on Bravo, and I didn't want him to like suicide a command in here and me lose the cap and then not be able to cap it back quickly. So that's just kind of like a spare there. Also can kind of help out with any combat if needs be. More M1A1s coming in to help the M1A1HAs. And yeah, just setting up for pretty much just another push into this sector, but kind of just smashing my head against a brick wall. I'm also going to be reinforcing the left hand side, a couple of M1A1s moving in here. And I also decided to bring in some artillery. It might look like a kind of a late time to bring in the artillery, but at this point in the game I didn't really have a way to indirectly attack his tanks. So my plan was to arty this area where he's currently hiding, like his Leopard 1A5s and the 2A3s and stuff, and then I can push in with my tanks and he won't really be able to use the cover without taking free damage from my artillery. That was the thought process anyway at this point. Ideally having the artillery earlier would have actually been really nice, because, you know, in hindsight, having the artillery to attack the Fliegerfaust locations, whenever I see a Fliegerfaust fire, I just hit it with an artillery shell. That could have really freed up my helicopters earlier on and allowed me to get a lot of damage done with them, because I would be able to cover them off with the Wild Weasels. You know, like the Wild Weasels would be around, so that would stop his radar AA from helping deal with the helicopters, and then my helicopters can get lots of damage in where they were otherwise getting forced to fall back from the Fliegerfaust at the fear of a F4F coming in, right? So if I just had like one artillery piece that could have popped his Fliegerfaust throughout the game, that would have been really nice. But yeah, at this point, just using it to dislodge his position, get his tanks out of position, but he's in too many places right now. You can see he's coming in on the right flank here with multiple 2A3s. Due to having traded well throughout the game, he just completely outnumbered me at this point. And, you know, might have been able to kill a Leopard 1A5 there, but just lost an M1A1HA. On the left side, being pushed in really hard. My M1A1 Abrams are going to be able to hold off the initial push here from the Panzerguns and stuff, which is great, and I'm also doing damage, of course, to the Leopard 1A5s and the Marder Milans on the left-hand side. So, you know, things aren't going terribly bad for me on the left-hand side. I'm actually getting some pretty good value, especially with the Apache up here that's absolutely mincing them with rockets. But on the right-hand side, my push has just been absolutely deleted, and now he's finally got a gem into this building. This M1A1HA, you know, it's just in a bad spot. Wild Weasel coming in just a little bit too soon. I plan to use it with the Thunderbolt, but Thunderbolt's just so slow that the Wild Weasel just completely overshot. Anyway, that was coming in to try and assist this push, but it's a bit too late on this right-hand side. We've currently got 7 minutes left on the clock. I'm starting to get to the point now where I'm like, don't think I'm going to win this one. It was unfortunate, because I felt like in the early game I really kind of had Wooden Box on the run a little bit. But he managed to recover it really well. Thunderbolt also here, kind of failing me quite a bit. Missed 2 of its Maverick missiles. Weasel on the left kills the Alouette. But radar on the right. Radar AA from Wooden Box. He notices his Weasels are on the other side, turns on his Gepards, shoots down the A10. So that's dead. M1A1 Abrams getting smashed in the front armor. I'm going to bring in both of my Eagles to kill that. Easy peasy. I bring in both because It's actually kind of unlikely that a Eagle's going to one-pass a Apache, just because they're too fast for their own good. But 2 Eagles, perfectly fine. Going to come over, kill the Alouette as well. Might as well while I'm at it.
Winchester, I'm out of ammo.
The only difficulty with doing this, of course, is it stops me from killing any future F4Fs, although most of his F4Fs are dead at this point. He'll manage to keep 1 Apache alive throughout most of the game. Yeah, Leopard 2A3 getting a good engagement there against the M1A1 Abrams, and this M1A1 HA now losing to the 2V1. Falling crit, oh great. Yeah, pretty much just donezo in this game because A10's obviously out of action. Both of them are down. Both of my Apaches that I brought in have been killed as well. I am going to be able to smoke off my tank there and get it back, but I'm just seriously outnumbered. Now Tornado IDS coming in from Wooden Box. I do still have both of the Eagles on field, so they're going to be trying to intercept this. But all of the rocket, or all of my missiles going to miss. He ends up taking out my fire team. Dragon. Also his Gepard's managed to shoot down one of the Eagles. And the Tornado actually gets out scot-free, so yeah, things really not getting any better in any of these engagements. And yeah, with the +2 counting in Wooden Box's favour, not really much I can do. Artillery is going to try and at least harass some of his infantry here so I can push in the M2A2 potentially. Left side, the M1A1 Abrams are just trying to get fixed up and finish off the units in the open. Kiowa's moving over, does have some rockets, so can maybe help out a little bit, but yeah. This is pretty desperate from my part. M2A2 going to be engaging the artillery is coming in on that to help out. Got a bunch of mech rifles that I'm going to try and spread out here and attack forwards. Nice thing about the mech rifles compared to my fire teams with dragons is that they have Dragon 2s, so they're a little bit better than the standard dragons. But yeah, I'm going to try and attack move them forwards here. Get them to help harass the leopards so that I can maybe jump out here with an M1A1. But the Jaeger there causing me problems at close range. Jaeger's on the left, forcing out my M2A1 Bradley, my M2A2 Bradley, sorry. Tornado IDS coming in with the triple kill onto the mech rifles just to, you know, solidify the deal. Fliegerpfeils come in, take out the Kiowa. It's an absolute rout at this point. As my M2A2 Bradley going to be engaging the Jaeger here. Apache going to try and help. But the 1A3 Milan's finishing that off. On the right hand side. Things in absolute disarray. Yeah, it's very, very over. And a sad end to my games against Wooden Box. I feel like in the first game I did really, really well, and in this game I think, you know, for the first 15-20 minutes things were going really, really well for me, but I just didn't really adapt to his stronghold on the right side of that map. And should have ideally made a play on the road to the far right into that sector instead of playing into his defences across the open there. I think that would have been a lot better. Anyway, in the end, 7,635 kills, 6,165 losses for Wooden. KD's actually not that far apart. I mean, it just goes to show, like, even with the unit disparity on the ground, my investment into my helicopters and aircraft paid off. So, you know, this Apache, for example, doing really, really well. My Eagle shooting down loads of F4Fs. Goldwire managed to pick off 5 of them himself. This Eagle Zimmerman managing to get the H64 and 2 F4Fs. Like, both of my Eagles did really, really well. The A10 here This was the Chad A10 that went for the 3 kills there. This A10, not so good because it kept missing all of its missiles. M1A1HJ did pretty well for us. Like, honestly, some of these tanks got decent amount of kills. It's just none of the 2 A3s really went down throughout. And Wooden Box just continued to amass them and eventually completely outnumber me on the ground by the end of the game. Anyway, that is it. We're now 0-4 in the Warno League, and it's starting to look a lot like the Steel Division League when I went up in the divisions. Yeah, I think maybe, you know, with a little bit more practice, a little bit more time playing 1v1 in Warno, I could have seriously taken some games from these guys, but these guys play a lot more than I do, and it really does show, especially in a game like this. He got put behind quite a lot early on, and still managed to bring it back. So really well played, Wooden Box. Really fun to play against him. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.